Okay, so Kizzle posted a video called "The Summoning Raids Player Doesn't Want You to Know in Raid Shadow Legends," and for some reason, YouTube will not stop recommending me this thumbnail. It is literally everywhere. So good job to Kizzle on this video, because apparently YouTube really likes it as well. So we're gonna watch it today. All right, now this is Kizzle's video, so go give him props that he deserves. I'm gonna give him a like on the video now because we're obviously watching it here. And then if you look, Kizzle Inc., that is him. I'll have a link to all this stuff in the description, etc. So credits where credit is due. Now I know Kizzle both off camera and on camera, and let me tell you, the guy's a solid guy. Through and through, he is a good guy, and I would be lucky to consider myself a friend with him, just so you guys know. That being said, I am curious to see what he has to say about these summoning rates, because he put a lot of effort into this video. He was talking a little bit about the creation of this video in the chat in the backgrounds, and I was super interested in the video while he was crafting it because of the stuff he was discussing. And I don't want to get into that because that was the person in our DM group. But that being said, I just kind of want to see this video and give my reaction to it. I have a little bit of, I wouldn't say insider knowledge, but I mean, I have some like pretty early knowledge about the summoning system back when there was some hackers who basically took the code and just spread it out to everyone so you could basically read it in plain text, exactly how the game does the poll system. And of course, I am aware of that information. I'm going to put it that way due to, I'll just call it the grapevine. Okay, so that being said, let's go ahead and continue and watch this video.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy Kizzle. So we're here today to talk about the shard pulling system in Raid Shadow Legends and how, in my opinion, they need to just completely get rid of it. For me, it's that far beyond repair, and it needs to be replaced with...
So right off the bat, even though I love my boy Kizzle, I'm just going to tell you, unless he gets in, at the beginning of this video, unless he gets into some points and changes my opinion, so I guess maybe this video will be called Kizzle Changed My Opinion or something like that, if he does. I don't think it's a thing that needs to be changed. Personally, in my opinion, I think the shard post system is working as intended and is actually fine. If anything, we could argue it's probably too expensive, and if you want to get a certain legendary, it's damn near impossible. Let's be honest, everybody. Okay, let's continue.
Something that really works.
Well, and I'll back up. I'll just real quick pause it. This is going to be a long video if I keep pausing. We're not even a minute into this, and I cut the first 30 seconds out because I explained it already. But basically, the reason I feel that way, to defend my thesis, is that in the long con of the game, Raid Shadow Legends is basically about RNG. Okay, it is. It's about RNG. It's about big dopamine drops, getting heroes that you didn't think you were going to get. And you can't really do that without a complete randomness of the heroes. Or I've been in a lot of gachas. I've seen people play free to play. I've played free to play. I've seen a lot of pay to play. Lord knows I've paid to play a lot myself. So with all those things being said, okay, you need it to be random, boys. And the reason why is the longevity of the game depends upon how long. Let's just say you want to play the game for 5 years. The longevity of the game is dictated by the amount of, not the amount, but the amount, well, yes, the amount of time, let's say, that the gaming company can continue to distill cash from its audience. Believe me, or believe you me, got it, if the money stops coming in, the servers turn off because it takes money to pay all these people. All right, so you do want it to be a balance of difficult and free to play. That's even a bad argument because it's not even free play. You want it to be a balance of RNG and being able to pick the legendary you want. And to be honest, in some of the games where you can get your legendaries pretty early, you can get the legendary you want, I see them fall off like that. It's just the truth of the matter. That being said, let's go ahead and hear what Kizzle has to say. Maybe he'll change my opinion.
Work in other gacha games. So we talk a lot about this on this channel, but unfortunately, Raid Shadow Legends does so well with its revenue, right? Which we've seen in some of my past videos. Whenever we talk about Raid made billions, I'll link it below.
Is that a real dog? He didn't Photoshop in a dog.
I might dive into the amount of revenue that Raid has actually made for Plarium, which is a subsidiary of Aristocrat. Like I said in those videos, we cover that. But Raid is such a significant revenue generator that unfortunately it sends a message to the leadership of Raid, to the developers of Raid, that what they're doing is working. Now, there's a way to get around that. There's a way to show people that what they're doing is absolutely not working, right? And it's when you benchmark. It's when you compare it to something else that really does work. So what I'm going to offer for you guys today is the way the system currently works. We're going to use some math. We're going to utilize a methodology from another game to basically reverse engineer this math. We're going to look at the drop rates during events, which is the only time you should probably pull a shard. But you're also going to find out in this video it doesn't make that much of a difference, unfortunately. And then we're going to show a system that I think would be significantly better. Okay. Before we make these points, I want you guys...
To be honest, this is going a completely different way than I thought the video was going to be about. I thought this video was about the equality of randomness between legendaries, as in weighted pulls. That's where I thought this was going.
So think about something, all right? When you look at these percentages, right, this is not to pull a specific legendary. This is to pull any legendary, to pull any epic, to pull any rare.
Correct.
Every time Plarium releases new champions, which they like to do a lot, right?
He's not wrong.
You get less of a chance to get the champions that are currently within the pool. So we've seen them continue this pattern for quite some time, and we know that this is actually something that they're good at. They're good at making champions, you know. And honestly, not their kits, not their kits. They're good at making cool-looking champions, right? That's what they're good at. They're good at the aesthetic. I think the kits are a disaster. We'll save that for a different video.
Okay, so the kits thing, he's kind of not wrong, because here's the problem. Here's the problem with Raid Shadow Legends. I think we should call it Defense Down Weakened Legends. Just call it that.
But, you know, they're good at it. They like releasing them. But as they release them, they further dilute the pool. So let's start here. I'm going to show you guys
getting better.
how really
I think the champions are getting better.
When you go into your summoning, portal, we're going to call that for lack of a better term, and you click on your chances. This is the breakdown. This is all you see. This is all they want you to know. Quick caveat, I'm not going to get on to too much of a tangent here, but the Mercy system actually kind of goes with main point I'm making today, which is Plarium is not transparent, right? Honestly, they're a much bigger fan of it.
Okay, so sorry I'm pausing this so much, but I have a lot of one to add on to this, which is that for the people who are still counting, we are still on no pack till pity. Or no pack till pity. Hashtag no pack till pity, you remember that? Which is the reason I haven't spent any money. Well, not the only reason. But we basically decided we weren't going to spend any more money as a channel. I put out a video, I'm like, hashtag no pack till pity. Anyone that wants to join me can do it. Until we get the pity timer, like the mercy bar. Which seems like a very blatantly easy thing to add to the game, because they literally already had it at one point, and they have the mercy system built into the game for the guaranteed legendary champions. So you know they can do it. We already have the third-party apps that will track, just straight up track the drops for you, but won't see at what part in the mercy you are. So you have to do it manually by hand, which is a dumb way of limiting the knowledge, because it's not knowledge that is not easily gainable by every single person by just counting in their head. If you can count up to 220 yourself, congratulations, you broke the code or the Da Vinci Code in order to be able to have the mercy system in the game. You just have to do it in a piece of paper or something, just with notches. Horrible system. Completely agree with Kizzle.
Obscurity. They'd rather you have no idea what they're doing, right? They only want you to know whatever they show you. And honestly, I think the Mercy system is a perfect example of that, because the Mercy system actually benefits the player, right? It should encourage you to, want to crack more shards and go for more chances. But Plarium just operates under this, veil of obscurity. And I think when you see interviews like Ash's with Cirilla, they don't want to answer anything. The people that work there are probably very discouraged from talking about anything, and everything's kept.
Okay, yeah, and he's right. Not to pick apart, or be too bitchy and pick apart all this stuff on this, but there is a lot of NDAs. I mean, look, even the people nowadays and content creators have to sign NDAs, bro. The conversation's totally different. Back in the day when I was in the program and there was 5 or 6 people in there, bro, it was the Wild West. But now it's completely different. There's way too many rules and regulations with all this stuff. And it is a little annoying, but I'm going to be honest. Some of the best information that I've ever gotten is in the Marvel Strike Force Envoy program. For the people that don't know, I'm actually part of their ambassador program or whatever. Look, they sent me their year-end thing or whatever, a little bottle of champagne or something. They're actually a pretty cool company when it comes to working with their content creators, from what I've seen. Anyway, I mean, but granted, I'm not in it heavily. So, maybe I'm a little biased towards them. However, some of the programs you get a lot of information in, and you absolutely could not leak that information to the public because you would be basically ruining the game for the people creating the game. Like, it's not like the public's not going to get the information, if not a week later. The only time you really want to go, fuck it, we'll do it live and blow up the spot for a company, in my personal opinion, is when it's something that they're not willing to address. It is something that is heavily influencing or damaging the game. Let's say like a major glitch. Okay, for me, in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, the only time I was really like, other than the whole, the one in Raid where they fucked me over. But in Star Wars Galaxy Heroes, what happened there was they had an exploit where you could literally use the same mods on all your heroes. So imagine you have, how to put this? Imagine you have, okay, all right. Imagine you have the best set of speed gear in the whole world, all right? But what you can do is copy all that speed gear onto every person on your arena team. Like you can duplicate, you can print the same gear. Yeah, I mean, that's obviously a little bit of a problem, right, boys?
Hush, hush, and private. And sometimes corporations and organizations
it's been in the game
for
years, by the way.
The Mercy system, in my opinion, is a great...
And the top-end guilds were using it, but we got to get going with this video.
Example of this, because it benefits the player. Why would you not have a marker up here showing the improved chance for you to summon a legendary?
Correct.
Instead, somebody that was diving into the code found this and started discussing it.
Correct.
And Imperium had to essentially admit that it was real and put this in.
Thank fucking God somebody is out here preaching, my boy. So I'm starting to fall in love with this video because it is so annoying to me that a literal hacker or whatever had to get in there, or not. That's terrible. It's an API dev is what it is. Okay, somebody goes out there and makes it based off the information you can glean off the game. Basically, you can go and you can make programs. And he found that information in the readily accessible data, from what I understand, and they decided to put that in game because the cat was out of the bag,
Here, so my point there, I'll sum it up real quick. Plarium likes to be obscure. They like to hide things. They like to not be transparent. With that, let me show you something. Let me show you how I really feel like a game should look. All right, guys, so this is Epic 7. All right, now, I know...
I fucking knew he was going to bring up Epic 7. Look, Kizzle, I love you, but Epic 7 has got to stop being used in every comparison for everybody for every game. I'm over it. It's Epic 7. Okay, but let's hear him out. A lot of you guys
don't like the anime aesthetic. I have no idea why that's a thing, but a lot of raid players that I've talked to don't watch anime. You guys are missing out, by the way. But if you go here, we go to the summoning portal in Epic 7. We're going to go down to Covenant Summon. Now, that would be...
I guess I did say Genshin in the beginning, and that one's way more weeaboo than whatever
equivalent to the, basically summoning ancient shards. All right. Okay. Now, we're going to go right here. This is what's important. All right. This is what's important. This is what's called transparency. It's a beautiful thing. It lets...
Okay. He's right. I mean, he's honest to God right here. They need to add this. In most of the games I've played, where you're spending real chunks of cash. I mean, Seven Knights 2 comes to mind. Genshin Impact, that I said, comes to mind. I mean, they have the breakdown. You can literally click the button that shows you the rate to pull each one of these. Because here's the problem. We actually don't know. How do I say this? It is entirely possible that essentially what we could be doing is pulling a legendary every 220 ancient shards. And the legendary we pull is one of the legendaries of a different bag. Let's say you have a bag within, or let's say you have a big bag and you have 10 other smaller bags. You reach your hand into the big bag. This isn't something sexual, stop. You grab another bag, you pull it out. Then you rinse, repeat, it's bags all the way down. You could basically distill down heroes into rarer and rarer categories, even within pulling a legendary at, 1% or whatever, if you get where I'm going with this, which is why you want to see individual rates for each one of these. Now, I'm not saying Raiden is doing that, but what I'm saying here is it's entirely possible that unless you see these numbers, that can be done. Cough, cough, wink, wink.
everybody know what they're getting themselves into, right? This shows you exactly what your chances are to summon any specific hero that you may want in this game, right? Now, 4 stars would be equivalent to epics. 5 stars would be equivalent to legendaries. There's nothing wrong with being this transparent. Honestly, it builds a lot of confidence in your consumer. I don't have a clue.
I mean, here's the one reason why, okay? He might not have a clue why, which is why I think he's about to say. Let's give him a chance.
Ray doesn't do this, all right?
There it is. He doesn't have a clue why Ray doesn't do this. I know why. Because when you look at 0.024% chance to get the one hero you really want in the game, you fucking quit the game, Kizzle.
Now, as you guys can see, we have a 0.5% chance to summon a legendary or 5-star, if we're using these terms, from an ancient shard, where here you already have 1.25. So it's already a better percent chance to summon that particular unit. Now, there's a lot to talk about here because there's a lot that Epic 7 does right, but let's do some math. There's 52 5-stars in this game, so 52 legendary equivalents. It's less than what Raid has. It's almost half of what Raid has for legendaries. And frankly, as we talked about earlier in this video, that's because that really is Plarium's business model. Keep diluting the pool and keep forcing you to spend more money.
So I think I see where this is going. Honestly, let me guess. He's going to take all the heroes in Raid Shadow Legends, all the legendaries. He is then going to type them in, divide them out, and give us all the percentage chance it takes to get an individual hero, right?
That's where this is going. To retain their players. I know it's a wild thing, but it's what they're aiming to do. So let's divide 1.25 by 52. What do you get? 0.024038 rounded up, and you got yourself a 4. That's where that number comes from. All right, so let's use that same math and let's apply it to Raid Shadow Legends. All right, guys, so this part's been a little bit interesting to kind of put together and go over.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, so standard and 10x chances, specific legendaries. Oh, no. Oh, no, Kizzle.
The math here using similar methodology is really kind of not fun to do. It's not fun for me.
Correct math is in our Discord under Shard Poll Data, link in the description below. Okay.
I'll
take this link that he has here, and I'll put it in the thing. Yep, okay. We'll put his Discord link in there as well so you can find
a bit of money in this game. It's probably not going to be fun for you to look at. But let's go ahead and dive into it, all right?
Okay, so please get this yellow-black text off the screen before I vomit.
Now, everything we're doing here is talking about summoning a specific legendary, right? So that you're cracking a Sacred Shard and you're saying to yourself, I want Bad Alcazar. Or you're cracking a Void Shard and you're saying to yourself, I want Siphi.
Yep.
Right? That's what we're talking about here. So let's say you crack a Sacred Shard and you say to yourself, I really want Bad L. 115 legendaries in the pool today, according to Illumilove's website, that are non-void. That is a 0.0521% chance at pulling Bad L or a specific legendary. I like that.
That's in line with your Epic 7, though, bro.
That's what X10 really means. How is that math done? Now, I'm going to give you guys my opinion on how that math is done, and it's actually pretty complicated. It's extremely sophisticated. I'm actually quite surprised that
so this is the other thing.
But it looks like this.
So
I think that's how it's done. I really do, man. I think it's that simple. I think that's why it says X10.
So there is a debate. What he's referencing here, and what I need to do is move myself to this other side real quick, because the reason he's kind of laughing about this, there is currently a debate going. Well, I wouldn't say a raging debate going on, but there's been a couple of different opinions about the X10, which is basically that what Plarium does to make it a sneaky harder to get the champion is instead they take 10 extra, they put 10 extra of that person in the row. Or they 10x the chance of it. So if it's 0.5, like he's saying, 10 times 0.5, is 0.5, right? But if they just add 10 other bad O's in there, it's a different thing.
Right, because otherwise it would say, you have a 1% chance
to pull. The bag. Remember the bag example? Let's say the bag has every legendary hero in the game in it, but then you dump in 10 more Bad Alcazars in the bag, right? And then you put your hand in, or actually it'd be 9 more, right? 10 total, right? And then you go in there and you grab one, and you could grab one of 10. Is different than when you put your hand in to grab just the one, you have a 10 times chance to do putting your hand in 10 times. It basically,
oldest champion, if they were being transparent.
Statistics is hard. I don't fully understand
something different in general, but they say X10, so I think that's what it means. I think it's times 10. So I've heard people say, and maybe that's other people think, the same way I do. I hope they do. But I've heard a lot of folks speculate as to how the math of X10 is done.
I'm curious.
I've always been kind of surprised because I was like, well, whatever the chance to summon a specific unit is within the pool, you just times that by 10. So that's my opinion on it. Let me know in the comments below what you guys think. But let's do the math on Void because that's a little bit worse.
So basically,
it's not fun to do this at all.
Is this video?
Even though I'm laughing, it's
how
not
long
fun,
we got left on this? We got 11 minutes left on this. Are we? Is this video basically telling us how unlucky it is to try to get the hero we want?
0.5% chance of pulling
for 18 minutes,
and there's 39 voids in the pool right now. Legendaries, of course.
Oh no!
That's a 0.0128% chance. 0.1% chance of pulling a specific legendary at any given time. Now, you go ahead and hit that on a times 10 event, and you got a 0.1. You got a 0.1% chance. Oof. Oh man, it's not good. It's atrocious. It really is. So you guys that are hoarding your void shards, and I'm gonna do another video.
And you have to realize this isn't per shard. You don't have a 0.1% chance of pulling them per shard. That's not what this math is. This is when you pull the legendary. So when you get a golden splash, you get yourself a nice golden shower. The chances that golden shower are spraying you in the face with your, I don't know, Sifi, okay, is this.
Void shards are scarce. That's going to be a nice second video. I think that'll lead right in through this video. But, there's a reason your void shards are limited, and it has a lot to do with how rare void units really are in the game and extends the life of the player, basically. So it keeps the player around longer because, they really want to, collect all the voids.
Kind of what we were talking about a little bit in the beginning.
We'll dive into that later. So that's the X10 event.
So he is going to address that topic.
I know, painful. It's painful.
It is painful.
All right, now let's go through. Let's look at standard versus X2, right?
Oh no!
Which is honestly
the well deepens.
Painful. So, as you guys know, we're sitting here and we're looking at. I mean, we don't really have to do the math. If we're doing an ancient shard, we have a 1% chance. We have 115 legendaries. That gives us a 0.00. I rounded up for you. 0.008% chance to pull off an ancient. On X2, a specific unit. We're still doing the specific champions here, right? And that on a sacred shard, that would give you 0.1% chance to pull a specific unit.
So if you're trying to get a specific unit, this is pretty depressing. However, here's my other argument, okay? Which is that in this game, you're not really trying to get specific heroes. You get random heroes, and then you play the game with what the game decides you have.
So obviously, your X10's better if you want something specific. I mean, a 0.1% chance on a, X10 versus a 0.5. I mean, it's significantly better to wait for an X10 if you're looking for a specific champion. But honestly, guys, this is terrible. I mean, these are...
Okay, so he's not wrong with it. He's slowly starting to change my opinion, I'm going to be honest. Okay, here's the thing. Here's the thing. I remember, I think it was Hegemon, and I think it was Scratch that was trying to get a Hegemon and blew 1,000 void shards or something. I mean, that should never happen. You know what I mean? If you spend literally that much money, I mean, dude, those things aren't cheap, dude. I don't want to hear about, but you farm them from clan boss. Yeah, I mean, you can farm the clan boss if you go back in time, farm the clan boss from day one with a 1 key. And you're not getting 1,000 void shards to this day and age. You're just fucking not. 1,000 void shards. You really think? That's crazy to me that people even think you can get a void shard a day. I don't know. To me, I don't know about that. But that being said, okay, so you farm, let's say I'll be generous. Let's say you farm 500 void shards somehow. Buying 500 void shards is over $1,000 easy, and then the amount of chance you have to get that here. Yeah, no, I could very easily see why that would be another quitting moment.
Right. Because at the end of the day, the champion pool's so diluted, and you have to have specific champions to perform certain tasks in this game, especially now with Hydra out. I mean, there's so many aspects to Hydra. You have to have champions that do multiple things, and there's a very slim pool of champions that do those things. So now, and honestly, I think that's part of Polarium's plan here, because now they have a really good opportunity to come in and drop X10 events, which, per the math here, really don't make a significant difference.
Yeah,
right? So let me show you an alternative. Let me show you an alternative. Let me show you where I think, get rid of this trash system and let's bring in a new system.
Awaken Chaos era, when a new hero comes out, you have a 300% chance, so basically a 3x chance to get that hero, which is not good, I'm going to be honest. You can go multiple in a row not getting that hero, right? However, there's another system they have, which is a 50-50, and then if you don't get him the first time, the second time you do get him. which is basically Genshin Impact's
something that really works.
System.
All right, guys, so I want to show you what I think is a superior alternative to the current system that Raid has of essentially getting a champion that you specifically want. So if you're holding out for a particular champion, the only thing you can really do in Raid today is wait for an X10 event, right?
True.
So if you need Kreela and you think Kreela is the answer to getting
we don't have banners. You're making it hard on me, Kizzle. So you keep moving where you're
sounds
sitting.
Good. You get 10 times the chance to get that specific champion. The downside of that is we just saw the math. It's times 10 of practically nothing, right? So it doesn't really enhance your chances too much. If you crack a Sacred Shard, you get a 0.5%, but that's really as good as it gets.
Yeah, 10x of 0 is 0, unfortunately.
Let me show you what I think is a superior system, right, to getting specific champions that you're looking for. And honestly, guys, I'm going to talk about this in a minute.
Is it
I think that's the business. I think that's the business plan. That's the function. You know, they're deepening the pool today of champions, right? We talked about this a second ago, but there's 115 non-voids, you know, in Raid, which is a much younger game than Epic 7, and 52 in Epic 7. That alone should show you, that's a lot of disparity between those two numbers. That alone should show you the rate of which Raid is releasing champions is significantly higher than comparable games. So I think that's the business. I think the business is deepen the pool of champions, and then, you know, make the content harder and harder so that you have to have specific champions or specific synergies to clear it. Now,
so basically what he's saying is you have to continually power creep the bad guys while making it harder to get the good guys to continue the game. I can understand that argument. It makes sense.
Hydra is a beautiful example of that, by the way. So that's it. That's my thesis statement. Hydra, boom, done, out, Kizzle out. But let's go through the math real quick, guys.
Okay.
So as we can see here, we're on that standard screen that we talked about a little bit ago. This is the summoning portal, if you will. And we're not going to go through the math again. We've already been through it. But if you want a Charles, that's a 0.024% chance.
Yep, they have a pretty bad chance there also.
So these are what's called banners, all right? At any given time on Epic 7, there's 2 banners up, right? So you can do this if you're playing. You can do it on the weekends, you know, because that's when I like to do their events. Or you could have maybe, you know, non-voids throughout the week and voids on the weekends, however you want to do it. Right, but whenever you go to this, right, you're going to use the same currency. So the same shards that you would use here, you're going to use those shards here, as you guys can see. Yep. But let's look at what your summon, you know, possibilities are. You got a 1% chance to summon the champion that's on the banner, and then the rest kind of falls in order. The rest is really not, you know, part of the.
Here's the problem. So one is we've already got this in the game. So it may not seem like it, but we literally already have this system. So the guaranteed champion system with 10x that they do, where it's like you have a 10x to get, I don't know, Silly and the Lucky. Okay, Kelly and the Lucky. When it's the 10x chance, the chance goes up, okay, for the individual hero. And then at a certain point, you get the hero guaranteed. It's the same thing. I understand this argument. And I've only come to where I understand his argument is what I'm saying, and they're doing a better job of representing it and making it more above board, and probably economically is the better version too for us at least. However, I've come to realize that at this point in the game, like Raid Shadow Legends basically does have almost all of the systems that we want or are arguing to have in them already. I mean, the guaranteed champion with 10x is literally the banner. I mean, it has the increased chance for, if you don't get it by, then you get it, right?
The example here, but to be honest, the one thing that you can do is kind of cool here is you can put useful epics in. So sometimes you can wait for, you know, the combination of a really good legendary and a couple epics that you're really looking for.
Yeah, I'll grant that.
And then you roll on that banner. You know, you take your chances on that banner. Now, the banner system alone, I don't think would work. You have to have the banner system along with what's called the pity. This is the pity right here. It's a guaranteed summon. So
basically, I think his argument is we should always have one of these running and it being selective, which I completely agree on. I think one of the things I really don't like is that in Raid, there's times where you really should not pull. Like, if you have a 10x for a champion that's just not good, you don't want it. And I really don't like that they mix in bad champions during 10x groupings where they're like 10x a bunch of these, right? And then they'll mix in like, you know, some trash hero. I mean, I'm trying to think. I was about to say Yannicka, but she's like better now. I'm trying to think. And then I was going to say that Void Legendary that you get in the login, but now she's good. Like, they're actually buffing a lot of the trash champions. Okay. I don't know, War Chief. Someone in the comments going to tell me War Chief is like triple S plus here Ultra and Hydra or something. But you get where I'm going with this, right? Like, you know me, I'm not a shill for raid, but they have this system in the game already.
Once you use 120, let's say ancient shards, because that's really the equivalent here. Once you hit 120, you're guaranteed to summon that champion. All right, so I don't necessarily think that the banner system alone works. I think you have to have the banner and the pity together. So I can tell you guys, I think this would be a significantly bigger revenue generator for Plarium. I don't know that they are open to it. I did once upon a time ago talk to them.
Well, they are open to it because it's literally already in the game. I think the one difference here is that is he's probably, maybe he's referring to, and I'm misunderstanding him, is that he's referring to being able to have that selective opportunity where like you can have it, there's always one for each hero. Like let's say there's 4 different legendary hero banners at the moment, you can kind of cycle the ones through. I think that would be great, but basically we need to define our argument then, because then we're arguing that essentially we need more options with the variable of it, which I completely agree. You're never going to hear me argue for less options. And there's no way in fuck I'm a shill for these Plarium people. So I'm trying to be on his side on this one, because to be honest, when he was talking about the video a bunch in the background, I was 100% like, he's going to kill it. And he did, because he got 30,000 views on this video. I just don't understand this point in the argument personally, my friend, because we have this in the game.
About the system, and at the time they were just starting to do X10, and he even kind of told me that he didn't think they would continue to do X10. So maybe that's a sign that they would be open to something like this. But I can tell you anecdotally, I spent a lot more money on Epic 7, and the reason why is, if the champion comes up that you want, sometimes it costs you a little bit because you get lucky, and sometimes it costs you a lot, but you get the champion that you want, right? Yeah. You don't have buyer's remorse. One of the biggest things that happens in Raid for me, and I hear about it all the time, and we saw it with Scratch, unfortunately, with Hegemon, is people go in deep on X10, and they go, they spend all the money that they can, they save up, and they get nothing.
Yeah. I mean, this happened to me too. Right. Like at Dracomorph, I spent $600 when Dracomorph came up the first time during his 10X, and I didn't get it. There's no way they didn't put that Dracomorph in there for me. You know what I mean? Like I know they probably tried to fed me an opportunity for that one, and I still couldn't get them, and it cost me $600. You know what I mean? So I'm struggling with how I feel about this, because it's the 10Xs are a joke. They're obviously a joke, but the 10Xs with the pity I think are actually quite good if we consider them to be what you want in the game as the primary source of posts. Like instead of the 2Xs being basically the events everyone waits for, then you do the 10X for plus the pity for the one you want, and that's basically a banner, more or less. However, there's a different argument here, which I think is not really being addressed, which is that in this game, it's a different type of game. There's so many heroes, and there's so many duplicates of the same hero in like a different personalities. You know what I mean? They're the same hero. In games like this, where he's talking, there's not as many heroes, so it's easier to pull the ones you want, etc. It's a good argument, but that also means that the hero you need is weighted way more heavily in these games. I know what I'm talking about. I played a lot of these games. Like let's say there's only like 30 legendaries in the game. They don't have 5 legendaries that do the same goddamn thing, because they can't, because you can only put each kits in each one. And the way they monetize is by like, oh, you don't have Charos or whatever. I don't know. I don't play this game. Then, oh, you're fucked, because he's the only one out of everybody in the game that has both defense down and weaken. And this literally used to be the way Raid was, because there was only 3 counterattacks, and counterattack was the meta before the big brain strat started to happen. Okay, so the way I feel about this is like, I love his opinions on how the game's basically doing a horrible job of transparency. Everything until we got to the Epic 7 banner stuff, completely on board with. Because I personally love that line of thinking, like, show us the percentage for each one, because there's something nasty hidden in there that we all don't know. Okay, and I think that's what we're worried about. I don't like the banner argument, because we literally already have it in the game. It's 10X plus pity, which is the same thing he was already wanting, which is that Charos, the rate up goes up, and then we have the pity. That's just my opinion how I see this. And the argument about getting the exact hero you want is a completely different argument in Raid, when you don't need certain specific heroes. Unless, I know, we're going to see Krisk. There's still only 3 counterattacks. We're going to be seeing Sifi. I know. Okay, but I'm not talking about Platinum Arena. And there's plenty of content in the game that you can solve without these ridiculous heroes. Look at all of the free-to-play series that are going on now with all the content creators. People are doing it free-to-play, beating Doom Tower hard, shit like that. You can play the fucking game without having to have these exact same heroes. The problem is in Raid, it's a collector game, so we all play the game because we love the game, which I do. You know, I mean, here you go through and you go like, oh, we're going to play the game. And you want to collect the heroes you want. And then you end up with an account like this where you have a million fucking heroes and duplicates of a whole bunch of stuff. And no one's fault's that but mine because I wanted a certain hero. But that's not the way Raid's designed. It is not designed where you have to have certain heroes. I think it used to be. And there's some argument to be made, oh, well, it is because in Hydra, you need these and blah, 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 blah. It's like, yes. But now there's such a variety in gameplay that you can basically farm all the gear you want. You can farm the clan boss. You can do everything that gives you really good fat stacks of resources for free and without certain heroes. It's a fact because people are literally doing it on every single YouTube channel right now with these free-to-play series.
Right. There's nothing that can make you quit the game faster than that experience, right? Because you probably just went into some credit card debt. You're not.
I think it Dracomorph after a year and a half and 16 grand and I quit the game. So
feeling good about it. You're frustrated. You knew you shouldn't have done it. And here you are, right? Now, the benefit of a pity system is, yeah, sometimes it costs you a lot. These things aren't necessarily cheap, but you get it at the end of the day. And then the next week rolls around and here's another champion. And maybe this week, okay, it only cost me 10 shards to pull that champion. But at the end of the day, there's light at the end of the spinning tunnel, right? So that's something that I honestly believe, it's anecdotal, but I really think this would drive up the revenue for Raid if they just, featured banners. And then what's most important is, we
would know if it drives up the revenue or not by just looking at the 10x with pity. We go. This is back in January the 22nd of 2022, so it's a couple months ago. So maybe back then, I don't quite remember. Maybe they didn't have one of those yet, but I'm pretty sure they. And someone correct me if I'm wrong, but don't we have pretty consistent 10x's that, with a bonus champion or pity or all that? I really feel like we have already got this.
Give players a better chance at getting the specific champions they need to clear content. Now, I know that would sort of diminish some of the empowerment system and its potential to monetize the game today, but I have my own issues with that, so we're going to leave that one where it is for right now, right? But I honestly think this would be a significant revenue driver for Raid. I don't know why they don't do it today. It's bizarre to have that deep of a pool of champions and to not have a better system that's more accessible than the trash X10 system that they have right now. All right, guys, so one key caveat that I want to make here is I know that there's a guaranteed summon system in Raid today, right? That is not the same as the banner system, and there's a couple reasons why. So basically the way the guaranteed summon system works in Raid is at some point in time they're going to throw a legendary or an epic in there, and if it's the one you like, great. But unfortunately that doesn't really do a whole lot because you can't really hold out for the particular unit that you're looking for. Whereas in Epic 7, those banners are always up at any given time. There's at least two banners up, right?
So basically his point is what I was saying, which is that his one issue is with the selectivityness of the banners. Unless he brings up another issue, that is what he's saying. He's saying the one thing that I said, which is that basically the banners are not specifically up all the time where you can go through and select the one you want, which I agree with. We're on the same page here. I agree with this.
Right, so there's at least two champions that you can roll for, and they cycle like fast, right? So it doesn't really take a whole lot of time for you to basically wait for the particular units that you're looking for. Or if you're looking for, let's say, block debuffs, you might get, a chance at a block debuffs unit once a month. Okay. So you might say to yourself, Plarium wouldn't like that business model because it seems like people might hoard their shards. But that's what people do today for X10 and X2 events. This would just be a much more organized and streamlined way to achieve that. And the best part about it is you wouldn't have buyer's remorse. You wouldn't have players that are spending a significant amount of money to get nothing. It's okay to spend a significant amount of money on the game when you get exactly what you want. We've all experienced that. We've also, for the most...
So we're also not... We don't get nothing. We get all the heroes we got along the way is another important thing. So I think that's also kind of something that gets misaddressed. Is like when you pull 100 ancient shards and you don't get a legendary, you still got 100 things out of the ancient shards. So like you can't devalue the fact that you just because you didn't get the legendary one doesn't mean you didn't just open 200 shards or whatever. Okay. The other part is that I need to still hear why the X10 plus the pity is not a banner system. Because all I'm hearing is that it's not up enough. We need it more often, and we need it more selective, which I agree with. So if our end of the day thesis is that Epic 7 is better because they have more often and more selective 10Xs with guaranteed champions, basically, because that's what the banner is. Same thing and a different visual appeal. And granted, Epic 7 does transparency way better. Hats off to that. Okay. That being said, the only complaint I'm hearing is we don't have them enough.
Most part, seen people that spent way too much money, or maybe we did it ourselves, and got absolutely nothing. That's a bad business model, right? So I honestly believe that not only would this improve the game overall, it would improve the revenue streams for Raid. But let me know what you think in the comments below. I personally think this system today is broken, and one of the key things I think we learned today is applying the methodology that...
So I don't think he changed my opinion. Well, let's give him the last minute. Okay, let's give him the last minute.
Epic 7 uses to determine which champions you get based off of the percentage of which you get to get a legendary. We saw that the drop rates for Raid were really, really low, which is discouraging, right? And that the X10 events, which seemingly improve your chances quite a bit, don't really improve them that much. So unfortunately,
he's right about all
it's
the
one
math.
of those things that
100%.
we see out of Plarium a lot. They're not transparent. They like to keep stuff from us as players, and they're just extremely money hungry, and they're very quick to be a slimy, business, and that's unfortunate.
I mean, yeah, I agree with all that.
It has a great community that plays the game, and frankly, there's aspects of the game that I think are comparable to something like Epic 7, and all you're really missing is somebody that's just a little bit more in touch with the player base.
Okay, so I think here's what I want to say at the end. Here's my thing. He didn't change my opinion on if we need to throw out all of this system and start over. And I'm going to put a link, by the way. Go watch him. We'll talk about this in just a moment and leave this right here. He didn't change my opinion, and I don't think we need to throw out the whole system, because at the end, he basically says his only complaint is that Epic 7 has them more often, and you can kind of choose them, which I agree with, by the way. That's great. I love that. Good choice. The problem is, if that's the thing, why are we throwing out the host system? Why does the host system not work? Is it because we don't have those often enough? It's because we need it to be 100x? I need to hear the solution. So I agree that the systems we have in place make it very unappealing, and people will quit if you're a collector, which is what I consider myself in these games, because Lord knows I'm not a serious player. They can be very frustrating in these games to be collecting pieces of gear, whatever, because the difficulty of this to get that specific hero, and when you're somebody trying to RNG basically purchase your way in to get something, like I used to play like these Mech Warrior packs back in the day where you buy like $20, you'd open this thing and it'd have like a bunch of little Mech Warrior figurines in there, like Mad Cat and stuff. Really cool. Okay, loved it. I still have those figurines, by the way. That should be a good video. Bring that and show you guys all that stuff. So the really big fan of like the RNG and collecting aspect. The problem was like I stopped playing that game all I did was open the packs, because I literally couldn't get any of the heroes I want. Like I kept getting the same one over and over and over again. So there is a fair argument to what he's saying. I loved all of this. Okay, all of this math is heartbreaking. He's got me on board with all of this. The only part that I think I disagree with, and the reason he didn't change my opinion today, is because we literally already have this banner system, and he more or less says that himself here, where he addresses it later, and then says that essentially the banner system is more selectable and has more of them available in Epic 7, which I agree with. Great points. I'm with you on board. But I don't understand the throwing out the entire system myself. I don't get that part. And I'm kind of cool with the way the system is. I think X50 would be better. But the part we need to debate about is the number. Like, what's the number, He knows that better than I do, because he's a corporate guy. Ain't that right, Kizzle? So, you know this. We got to debate over the number. What's the correct number of dollars we have to spend to get the hero we want? I think that's where the conversation is. I don't know. Anyway, good video. I can see why it got a lot of views and did pretty well, and people seem to be liking it quite a bit. I think if you look at the comments here, yeah, look at this, good points, etc. people were really liking the video too. So I'm going to put all the links. Please go subscribe to him. He has returned to the Raid Shadow Legends scene with some videos, and it looks like pretty much, let's go to his recent ones here. Looks like pretty much all his videos are doing pretty good now. Good for the boys popping off. So go give him some love. I'll have the link in the description. He has the correct math in his Discord. I'll have the links there and I'll have his Twitch, etc., all that. So shout out to Kizzle. Good guy, good quality content. And I would say I agree with 75% of his take. The math is terrible. Very discouraging to see the math, basically. I loved Epic. I think the best part we could take away from this is Epic 7's transparency needs to be learned from. I think this part, he could have hit Raid a little bit harder in this part of the conversation. Like, why can't we see the certain percentage for each one of these, etc.? Why just for a legendary? Like, normally you have a link you can click on in these games. It takes you and sees the percentage for everything. Why don't we have that for this game? I think he could have gone that way a little bit more, and that would have been an even more interesting conversation. Anyway, with that being said, Kitty wants food, so I'm out of here. Thanks so much.